Graphics are getting incredible in video games, and let's talk about the top stuff of the year. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, the 10 games with the best graphics of 2022. Starting off with number 10, it's Stray. This is a game that's relatively modest in terms of next generation graphics features, but it makes up for it in fantastic art direction and an incredible attention to detail. This indie hit has some of the most amazing looking environments that are both expansive and intimately detailed, while also running silky smooth on both consoles and PC. In fact, one of the things I can say about the game is how well it runs on PC, even when using fairly outdated hardware. Firstly, it's a well-optimized game, which isn't something you normally see with every indie out there. So the fact they really put in the work to make this game run well on older systems is a really pleasant surprise. The game just looks incredible too. Some of the larger city environments are so dense with detail and color that it can be overwhelming. It really can't be understated how great this game looks. The animations and visuals of the cat are astounding too. I don't think anyone's gonna mistake this guy for a real cat just looking at the face, but the animations and overall detail are still astounding for what's easily the smallest budget game on this list. At number 9 is A Plague Tale Requiem. On the opposite end of the spectrum is A Plague Tale Requiem. This game requires a beastly machine to run at a solid 60 frames per second, and on next-gen consoles it's still locked at 30, which is a little disappointing, but the cinematic gameplay makes it so twitch reflexes aren't really the priority, so it's not too difficult to adjust to it. The frame rate isn't the best on consoles, but everything else is absolutely stunning. Every environment feels like a painting come to life, be it beautiful and pastoral or disgusting and rat-infested. Special mention is given to the rats in the game, which can be seen in what seems like almost incalculable numbers at times, flowing through the world like water during some of the biggest set-piece moments. It's this crazy, surreal effect that had to have taken an obscene amount of work to get right. The world looks fantastic, and the character models are no slouch either. They've got a certain stylized, almost painterly look to them that's part of the game's distinct look. Like, they don't look like real people, but the detail on their faces, clothes, and everything else is really impressive. The only reason this game isn't any higher is it's just the performance. Honestly, it should run better on PC than it does, but they really went out of their way to make this game look as detailed as possible. And in terms of graphics, it really is a big step up from the first game, and the first game wasn't exactly something to sneeze at. At number 8 is Ghostwire Tokyo. Set in an impeccably modeled version of Tokyo's Shibuya district, Ghostwire Tokyo is both fantastic in terms of visuals and its unique sense of style. On top of the flashy and surreal visual effects are some amazing graphics that include ray-traced reflections and really make the rain-slickened city streets pop. Everything in this game is just so precisely detailed and rendered. The outdoors look fantastic, but the indoors especially can almost feel real at times with all the incidental details. As long as, there isn't a monster on screen or some of the ridiculous collectibles that, can't exist in real life. The contrast between the very real looking city combined with the supernatural elements give the game a really unusual feeling. Not exactly scary per se, but it's so bizarre it's definitely unsettling. And at least now it runs great on both PC and consoles. It wasn't completely the case when the game first came out, but now it is playing without any problems. Ghostwire Tokyo is one of those games that just looks so good you have to stop and stare sometimes. It makes me want to take a trip to Shibuya sometime too. At number 7 is The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Next Gen Update. Kinda hard to believe that Witcher 3 is nearly 8 years old. Not because it's still popular, but because the game still looks fantastic, especially on PC. And I'm talking without the update. Once you throw in this next gen update, this game looks incredible. Like, there's only a few major improvements, but they make a massive difference. There's 4K textures, there's ray tracing with reflections, shadows, and world lighting, and it all looks insane if you have a machine capable of running it. Like, just look at this stuff. It makes an already amazing looking game look even better, especially in places where you can really see greater details in the textures. And like seeing the ray tracing work in the city of Novigrad. For people with older PCs who just want to play the game or use mods, the next gen update isn't the most welcome, but the new visual updates really make the game look way better, even if the performance suffers a little bit as a result. I mean, it just looks stunning though. Look at this. At number 6 is The Last of Us Part 1. Naughty Dog, some of the best in the business when it comes to pushing visuals in their games. The Last of Us Part 1 wasn't made entirely by them, but the level of subtle details introduced to the remake of this frankly pretty old game at this point, I mean, it's a decade old, but you can't understate these things. The funny thing about this version is the game, at least at first, is kind of hard to tell what was even changed. But once you look at a side-by-side comparison of just how massive the graphical jump actually is, characters look more realistic than ever, the environments are incredible. Even if it's mostly building on what the original game did, it just cannot be denied how good some of these locations look. It's all, for all intents and purposes, nearly identical to the original game. It just looks so much better in every way. It's even a huge jump over the remaster, because all of the previous versions of the game are working mechanically exactly the same as the first, whereas there were a lot of new technologies introduced to this remake. And at the end of the day, it's a graphical update with some minor tweaks done to the classic game, so it's not getting brought up on a ton of end-of-the-year type lists, but at least in terms of graphics, Last of Us Part 1 is easily one of the best. At number 5 is Horizon Forbidden West, a banner year for the PlayStation this year. So many high-profile sequels coming out, and all of them top each other in terms of graphics. I'm going to say it right now, this is kind of a PlayStation-heavy list, but is it really, like, a confusing set of choices? Like, look at some of these games. Horizon Forbidden West is a game that kind of got lost in the shuffle a bit, coming out the same time as Elden Ring, but it is a really good game, graphics aside. But once we actually start looking at the graphics, it just deserves a huge amount of recognition. The world here is detailed and varied. It's both heavily stylized and incredibly subtle. Like, you've got pretty wild costumes on the characters, but they've all also been facial scanned and modeled, even down to the most unassuming NPCs. For an open world game, it's just an unprecedented level of realism in the character models, especially the faces. You'd expect the main character to get all love, and Aloy is crazy detailed, but almost every other character in the game is just as detailed. Performance, not quite as good as we'd like. It can be like annoying and slow down sometimes, but it's a technical marvel in pretty much every other way. At number 4, Gran Turismo 7. Come on, man. Gran Turismo is always a standout from PlayStation. And Gran Turismo 7's graphics are all about substance. Now, is it as flashy as other games on the list? Maybe not, but it's got a beautiful art direction, contrasting colors, fantastical environments, and fine details. The details in this game are just incredible. Take any car and just stop and look at it. Everything is accurately rendered, from the hubcaps to the stuff you might never see, like the dashboard and upholstery. The tracks are just as impressive. Every raceway looks as close to the real thing as possible, and under the right conditions, the game really is almost undistinguishable from the real thing. The biggest giveaway is just how perfect, and when I say perfect, I mean that, like, wow, everything is impossibly perfect. That's the giveaway, but it's also graphics. It's not really the worst problem to have. Like, check out some of the interior dashboards. Every button, knob, every screen, it's all accurate, and it looks good. The Gran Turismo series has always prided itself on accuracy, and with 7, they topped themselves. At number 3 is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Say what you want about the quality of the game. There are some pretty divisive opinions about it I've seen, but you really can't deny how impressive it looks. I'm going to say this, and it might be a bit of a nitpick. I don't really think it's quite as impressive as the 2019 Modern Warfare, but that's a crazy high bar to clear. That game had some photorealistic stuff in it. And while this game doesn't quite reach those highs, it's still incredibly good looking. The gun models are all-time best in the business. The character models are all scanned from real actors and animate fantastic. The environment's absolutely stunning. The game's more open approach is probably why we don't necessarily see that photorealism. There's more going on at any given time, more space, more stuff, etc. But it also serves the game well in some of the best levels. It legitimately looks real at times, and it doesn't have to use the previous game's crutch of darkness to do it. It's just one of the game's many highlights, with a varied and exciting campaign filled with some incredible looking levels. It's a game where they strive for virtual realism at times, and while it doesn't always pull it off, you can really see the money on the screen. The graphics are incredible and blow past the couple of non-modern warfare games out in the series this year. At number 2 is the Callisto Protocol. Speaking of games with divisive opinions, the Callisto Protocol wasn't exactly the true successor to Dead Space we all wanted, but I mean, you really just can't deny this game looks good. The characters, the lighting, the environments, it's all next gen as hell. You can just say to yourself, oh yeah, this game requires an absolute monster of a PC to run at the best settings. At release, people reported their RTX 4090s were struggling with it, but a few major patches have done real wonders for the performance, at least for me. The real standouts with this game are the character models and the lighting. There aren't a lot of characters here, but they're all really realistic looking. They're natural animations combined with very high-res textures to look incredible in the game's beautiful lighting effects. The lighting makes a huge difference here as well. It's important that a game like this have good lighting, but they really pushed everything to the max here. The environments are not too exciting from an artistic standpoint, but if the pure graphical power is what we're talking about, this is easily one of the best looking games of the year. It may not win any awards for gameplay, but you gotta admit that the visuals are incredible. And finally, at number 1, God of War Ragnarok. Doi! The PlayStation had a great year, but they, of course, saved the best for last. In both artistic and technical aspects, God of War, I mean really the whole series, relative to its time period, is always an absolute masterpiece, visually speaking. But in this game, it's incredibly detailed character models, environments, beautiful effects that really come together to just make something huge. Everything looks incredible in this game, from the lavish cutscenes to the most subtle moments, and it all runs at just a rock-solid frame rate. All while keeping the game's gimmick of being a oneer, like there's never a camera cut in this game. It's a single seamless camera for the entire 40-hour journey. That's, I mean, maybe not as impressive as it was in 2018, but something about it feels impressive. Now, unlike the previous game, which was mostly set in the beautiful but kind of samey Lake of Nine, this game takes you all over the Nine Realms, and wow, do they all look amazing. The first place you visit, the Realm of the Dwarves, deserves special mention for looking all around fantastic. Like, Ragnarok is just this staggering achievement of a game that deserves every bit of hype it's getting, but a special mention should really be paid to the graphics. What's wild is that this game is still somehow cross-gen, and it still manages to look amazing. Like, it goes to show you how far solid art direction and technical prowess can really take you. And that's all for today. Leave us a comment, let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable all notifications, and as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero, and we'll see you next time right here on gameranx.